This week in comic books, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom come out because, a movie's coming out, I guess. In Marvel, we get Spider Boy, his first solo, not really solo, debut, and a little bit about his origin story to kind of confuse us a little bit more. And Almost Dead comes out in Independence, and that thing's just a mess. We're going to talk about that, a few other comic books, so grab yourself a cup of coffee. You, you don't have any coffee? Let me help you out with that. Check this out. Hey, what's going on, folks? This is your boy Pocan Joe to talk to you about Coffee Brand Coffee. We serve people that are tired of gimmicky advertising and branded companies that want to lecture you. At Coffee Brand Coffee, all we want to do is serve you freshly roasted coffee wherever you're at, whenever you want it. Consider Coffee Brand Coffee. Check us out, check our reviews out, and use promo code POCANJOE or the link down in the description to save yourself some money. Give me the opportunity to get you a delicious cup of coffee. Alright, you wonderful weirdos, let's jump into this week's comic book haul. If you're interested in my coffee or my merch store, the links are down below. Please take a second and check that stuff out. But let's jump into this week's comic book haul and review. And we're going to kick it off with Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Because, a movie's coming out. So, of course, I went with this title. It's Jason Momoa. Why not? For the most part, it was a decent comic book. But it's nothing that we already don't know. No real revelations here. We took a villain and we transformed him into the opposite of Aquaman. Yeah, a negative opposite, if you will. That kind of happened in here. We brought in, and we made some fish monster people. That was one of the stories in here. The other one is just kind of a refresher on who Manta is in the movie verse, as far as following his father's legacy, and kind of had this puzzle thing where he kind of sent him on a worldwide quest where the treasure is finding yourself, I guess. And of course, last one was just to remind us that Ocean Master still exists, because that's another negative opposite of Aquaman. So again, nothing really new in here. Aquaman and Mira get married. Of course, she's pregnant. They change from the big royal wedding to a small little beach wedding where they have some beers inside of a little shanty bar type of thing. For the most part, I'm not saying it was bad, right? That's not the case here. But this is obviously more of a promotional for the movie that will be coming out. So nothing really too deep or really, I don't know, prudent to the Aquaman storyline that you wouldn't already know. So, if you want to save a few bucks and pass on this, you'll probably catch a lot of this in the movie. Next, Penguin, number 3. I've been enjoying this so far. This is basically just the Penguin rebuilding his criminal empire. He's got his management staff in play. He's got his number one guy, the helper, assisting him. Now he needs goons, henchmen, if you will. So what does he do? He goes to this kind of obscure group of characters that kind of popped off a little bit a while back called Force of July. So basically they're just overly gimmicked American freedom type characters, the whole 9 yards, right? But now they've been beaten before, and now they're kind of gritty, rough around the edges, and they're not good guys anymore. So Penguin, in his great master manipulation, kind of convinces him to be his henchman. So now he's got a little force. He's got a little army together. And of course, he's putting them through the paces in this one to kind of solidify the need of him in their lives, if that makes any sense, right? That draw, you need me, I'm going to make something of you type of thing. They don't have their powers anymore, which they didn't have great powers. One was just a mimic of poison ivy. One could shoot fireworks from his fingertips. I thought that was kind of weird. One's a homicidal, insanity-driven, bloodthirsty guy. And then one's just a douchebag, and over egotistical douchebag. So that was a thing. So yeah, that's happening in here. I'm really kind of excited about the story. I'm just kind of tired right now. But I really did enjoy this. I love watching villains kind of their retelling and regrouping or redevelopment. They're going through redevelopment. That's a good way to look at it for all you real estate cats out there. So that's kind of what you're looking at there. Next, going into Marvel, we got Ultimates came back out. the Ultimate Universe. I went with the Thor cover. It seems kind of pertinent to the story. If you don't know about the Ultimate Universe, it's basically just what if things slightly change just in the perspective, that pivotal point of making somebody a hero. What if you changed one minor thing in there, right? And then what would that look like in this other universe? So instead of an Iron Man, you got an Iron Lad in here, which was a thing a while ago. We got a group of guys that are secretly causing chaos throughout the world, but they need a fall guy for it. Turns out it's going to be Iron Lad. We got Doctor Doom, who had nothing to do with Fantastic Four or anybody else, and he's kind of a good guy in this one. Thor was imprisoned because of he was wrongly accused of the death of his father or assisting Loki in the killing of his father. But what if the evidence pointed to Thor? Of course, right? So that kind of whole thing. And this is all done by the maker. If you don't know who the maker is basically just an evil version of Reed Richards or Mr. Fantastic. So how are they going to combat this? And where is the maker in all this? Because it seems like he's been trapped away someplace while these other 4 individuals, who I don't want to spoil everything, are kind of causing all this chaos and everything going around in a superhero sense. So yeah, it's kind of cool. So the question here is, what they're really asking is one pivotal thing. Is it the one thing, that one choice, that one road that would make you a good guy versus a bad guy versus a slub sitting on your couch watching me talk about comic books? Is that the thing that could have done it? Or are there other circumstances that had genuinely drive you to that anyway, right? Destiny versus prophecy type of thing, right? So yeah, I'm liking it for that. The artwork's great in it. It's an exciting story. It's probably one of the most exciting things I read this week. However, it does not get the grand title of Pick of the Week. That's coming right now. Next is Spider-Boy. I went with the negative space variant on this one, as well as the Scotty Young cover as well. My wife was with me at the comic book store when she picked it up, so she's got her comic book story. So this is gimmicky. You need to know that, but you need to be okay with some gimmicky. So you're gonna get some puns in here, very much in the vein of Spider-Man, who is an appearance in this. Something's got to kind of carry this character over, right? In this, we kind of find out that he was in a lab experiment, and along with him as a child being crossed with a spider, various other children have been spliced with other animals, and one was based off of a pun that was told in their little cells. The elephant one. Elephino, that's it. An elephant, rhinoceros inside of a kid. There you go. But for some reason, the people that made Spider-Boy don't remember Spider-Boy. Something has wiped their memory. But they know that, hey, this thing is really ours. So what's going on here? We get gimmicky characters, which should not be unusual in a Spider-Man sense. They had a cue ball guy at one point. You remember that guy? Cue ball? Looked like a ball. They had a bowling ball guy in this one. So again, feeding off of a lot of older tropes, but bringing it in a more modern sense. Okay. And of course, Spider-Boy has to deal with not only public perception of him looking like a spider he can monster out, but also just dealing with the complexities of being a hero, even though it's something that he very much enjoys. So yeah, and plus the missing of a family and having to deal with people and kind of a finding yourself type of story, but done in a more heartwarming way than another book. So this gets my comic book pick of the week. Not that I think it's a terribly unique story, but I think it's a refreshing take. And God knows we got enough Spider people that have been critical of that. This one, I think, can kind of shine on its own. So for that, fireworks. Pow, 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 pow. Pick of the week. All right, next. We get White Widow. You should be somewhat familiar. I went with the 1 in 25 variant for this, just because I wanted a little uniqueness, and I'm kind of glad that I did get a unique cover, because I did not get a unique story in this. Somebody's going to... This is where we start hitting the caps button. Here we go. So this is... It's the same thing. It's the thing that I absolutely annoy. I know it may be somebody's cup of tea out there, but it's not mine. By the way, at Coffee Brand Coffee, we have tea as well. Shameless plug. back to the story. So if you don't know, this is a Black Widow's sister, Russian spy, blah, 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 has to deal in the real world now, where things are kind of mundane, things are kind of normal, and it's finding herself, but she's doing it in this snarky, mean girl attitude, and I've been critical of this in comic book writing before. This is not an interesting character that I find to be resonating, right? The kind of somebody that doesn't understand the nuances of the world or context of the world around them, that would be fascinating. You can have fun, humor, and even some drama based in it. But just being a snarky, vodka drinking, she takes vodka to the head. Like, that's not a sign of toughness. That's a sign of alcoholism. Like this, just saying. That's not good. And then, of course, we got a character in here who's basically the Winter Soldier. The metal-armed, one-armed. They got one of those in here, too. And the quirkiness of having to deal with random people inside of a house. How are they all going to live together? It's basically Big Brother. It's just not... I don't find it fun. It's not interesting. And generic. I'm not going to sit here and say that I would take all the advice from, say, a character like Captain America, right? But I'm not going to put Captain America in his place. That happened in this. And I'm just like, with words, too. And I'm like... So the world's greatest assassin is a mediocre story for me this week. Moving on. We got Almost Dead. So this is the dumbest character I've ever... And I don't mean like the writer. I'm trying to wound anybody's feelings. But this character is dumb. So basically, and I'm going to spoil this one, lady's flying to Maryland to go back home. She lives with her uncle, or her uncle raised her, I should say. And she lands in the airport, goes into a bathroom, apparently slips and falls and bumps her head and is knocked out for 3 days. While this is going on, a zombie outbreak happens. So she's stuck in this bathroom, doors pinned or something. And she wakes up 3 days later and she's kind of in a daze and kind of confused. We'll just go ahead and say a concussion. And as she's walking through the airport, she notices, why would people leave their luggage just laying around? Why is everything dirty and filthy? And she sees a couple of people outside. They're zombies. And she's like, hey, hello, how rude. Somebody help me. In the most mundane way possible. And of course, she doesn't realize they're zombies. Makes it out to a car, finds a random car. First off, it doesn't dawn on her, even though she mentions it. Hey, why are all these cars with doors open and everything and out of gas and blah, blah, blah. At no point there's no worry or fear going on with this character. They miss that, right? Like, there's no intensity to this. Like, there should be fear building here. It would happen with anybody. That just makes sense. But no, she's just dizzy and confused. Gets into a pink cab, goes to start it. It's the only thing with gas, which after 3 days, I don't know why it would have gas. Period, but whatever. And then as she's kind of fading in and out, she's trying to start a car to drive, watches a woman get eaten by a zombie and passes out in the car with the back hatch, but nothing attacks her. I'm sure there's a reason for that. We'll probably get it in the second story. Who knows? I don't know. Anyway, she wakes back up behind the wheel of this car and decides that she's going to drive to her uncle's house, completely forgetting everything that she experienced in the last few hours. It's like no recollection of it whatsoever. Drives to town and again starts commenting about how there must be a power outage. And sees candles flickering and lights. And at no point dawns on her to say, hey, if the candles are lit, that means somebody's home. Maybe you can find out what's going on. No, I'm going to keep trying to drive with a concussion to my uncle's house. It makes sense if you don't think about it, right? Gets to her uncle's house, knocks on the door, screams and yells, nobody's answering, climbs up with a concussion, climbs up, tries to open up a window, it does not open, and passes out again and bumps her head falling off a 2-story house. And then that's where it leaves us. This character's dumb. I've taken a hit to the head before, right? And I shook it off, right? But I wasn't dumb. I was just kind of trying to figure out where I was. A sense of panic would actually rise. Is everything all right? Am I all right? None of that happened here. She just, ho hum, gonna go to my uncle's house. I don't know. It's bad. Last, because it was a short week. We got Forge of Destiny, Masters of the Universe, He-Man. So all you need to know, if you haven't been reading this, it's pretty linear story, right? We're meeting other kingdoms. We're negotiating with other kingdoms. We've caused a little bit of a boogaloo in one place. One of the countries having a little bit more technologically advanced than, say, Eternia is. And we're getting the big build-up where Skeletor's like about to unleash his big evil plan, and the big battle's about to come. Not too deep, but if you're a He-Man fan and you didn't much care for the show, you would probably enjoy this. Also, He-Man's a big fat liar in this. Like huge, like just in your face, straight up lie to Tila. Yeah. So that's my comic book haul and review this week. If you haven't had an opportunity yet, you can go over to Evil Air Projects and Builds, where I made a ghost robot. It's the only way to describe it. A ghost robot. Or I put my head in a hologram ghost image thing for a Halloween decoration. So yeah, I did that. And it's pretty fun. Put some cool music behind it. Definitely, if you want to check that out. Evil Air Projects and Builds right here on YouTube. Definitely. Other than that, I don't have anything else, guys. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.